Tamara, I started my first job when I was about 13 years old as a janitor, right?
Wow. This week we have a young trailblazer on the program. He is Ricardo Allen, President and CEO of One-on-One Educational Services. Hear his inspirational story from country to town, how his company is helping many Jamaicans and other nationalities to bridge the digital divide, and some crucial ways in which we can adapt to the digital revolution that's taking place right across the globe. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, I am Tamara McHale, host of the Trailblazer series. Remember to hit that notification bell right below and subscribe. Ricardo Allen is the president and CEO of One-on-One Educational Services, the Caribbean's largest online education technology company that allows regional institutions, companies, and governments to deliver personalized and cutting-edge learning solutions online and on demand. He and his team have managed to lead the company through various rounds of financing, partnerships, and acquisitions, raising over 200 million Jamaican dollars in private equity funding, and have managed to secure key regional support. Prior to his success in business, Ricardo led the structured products division at Sagicor Investments Jamaica. Following his resignation, Ricardo was appointed a management consultant at Sagicor Life Jamaica. He also serves as a member of the Jamaica College Old Boys Association, chairman of the United Way's Young Leaders Society, member of the Jamaica Stock Exchange Best Practices Committee, chairman of the University of Technology Actuarial Science Course Advisory Committee, as well as a member of the Entrepreneurship Advisory Committee. Ricardo is a 2010 Rhodes Scholarship nominee and was awarded the 2013 U.S. Fulbright Scholarship before gracefully declining the opportunity to pursue his business interest. He has received numerous awards and accolades to date, including Best Young Entrepreneur of 2015 at the prestigious NCB Nation Builder Awards, selected to represent Jamaica in a fellowship for the inaugural Youth Leaders of the Americas Initiative, commissioned by former U.S. President Barack Obama through the U.S. State Department. Honored by the RJR Gleaner Group for his work over the past decade in revolutionizing online education in the Caribbean, and more. Ricardo is the proud father of 2 daughters and prides himself on being a super big brother and compassionate husband. Hi Ricardo, it is a pleasure to have you joining us on the Trailblazer, a young trailblazer at that, doing great things.
Thank you so much, Tamara. Very happy to be here. Hello to your viewers as well. We're doing it virtual today, I get to understand.
Yes, definitely. And that is the way the world is going, as you should know. We're in the digital revolution.
Yeah, man. And it makes a lot of sense for e-learning, big ideas online. Tamara, when we just started the business, we used to have problems getting meetings with government officials, business persons, and so on. Now everybody knocking at the door.
Yes.
We don't have enough hands, right? So we're quite happy, quite amazing, and we're willing to push forward, drive forward,
And speaking of when you just started, that's amazing, because that just shows how the world has shifted. But tell us about your humble beginnings, because we have spoken, and I get to understand that you're from the rural parish of Trelawny, which I'm from as well.
Yeah, man, yam and sugar cane, man. So, Tamara grew up in Rio Bueno, Trelawny, right on the coast, but I spent most of my time in a place called Jackson Town, Trelawny, with my great-grandparents, right?
I know Jackson Town very well.
Exactly, right? And, there I stayed until I was about 7 years old. It was very rough for us. The house that we lived in was about a mile from the main road. So you would come off and then you would walk about a mile. But, it was quite nice. We got light and water, running water, roughly about in 2006, which is about 14 years ago. So it was very far, rural. Came to Kingston at age 7. My teachers kept writing to my aunt, who lived in Kingston at the time. She worked at Mother's, and she would help my mother to take care of me, send her diapers and wipes and so on. And she kept getting letters from my teacher saying, oh, I'm doing well in school, and just making the most of not having much. And, she decided one day when she came to look for us from Kingston, she saw me in a guinea tree. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was having dinner in the guinea tree. You may ask what was the dinner? It was the guineas, right? And she asked me to come down at the marina on an underpants, barefooted, and she took me in the car and we drove to Kingston. The rest is history. Came here, roughly about 1997, 1998. I was, placed at a primary school in Kingston, worked my way up, passed for Jamaica College, JC, right? And, did extremely well at GSAT. Went to JC. Tamara, I started my first job when I was about 13 years old as a janitor, right?
Wow.
My first job was I would leave JC at about 3:30 after playing probably some football and so on, because I used to play for the team. And then I would go to my after school job, and I would stay there until about 10, mop the floors when the stores closed. It was a supermarket. And then I would go home and back at it again 6 o'clock the next day to school. And working my way up, I got promoted from a janitor to bagpacker, right? So now I'm earning tips, $2,000, $3,000 sometimes, some days. So you could help yourself, help your parents, and so on. So it was quite something living, obviously, in August Town, going to school, working.
Wow, stick a pin, because you mentioned that you started at JC, you made your journey from Trelawny to Kingston and then did well at JC and doing well as well, but then having to do these odd jobs to earn some money. But I didn't know that you actually grew up in August Town as well, because for our viewers who are international, who may not know, that's an inner city community. And, so some people would call it a rough area to grow up in. So how was that for you?
Yeah, it was, put it this way, Tamara, there were times that I was at work 9 o'clock in the night and I get a call from my mother saying that I need to come home early because someone has just been killed. So going home, I'm walking through yellow tapes. I want to paint the picture for your viewers. You're walking through yellow tapes like Wild Wild West, darkness, right? And you get home, and after a while, I guess you become almost immune to it. But, the circumstances was not ideal. When do you do your homework? When do you do your assignments? So, I was competing with students at JC who are going home to well-cooked meals and things like so, having time to do their things and so on. We had to go home after work. My shoes was red when I reached home too, because it's usually the floor we were wiping was red. So it came off. And in fact, sometimes when I'm at work, I would have some of my colleagues come through the supermarket and they laugh after you. They see you and they laugh after you and they say, oh, I would never do that. I would never work at a supermarket. But it's all in it. Growing up in August Town, it teaches you a lot. It's a rough place. But what it did teach me, obviously, at a very young age is look to where you want to go and not where you are.
And so, I like that.
Yeah.
I really like that, because one of the things I've always admired about persons who grew up in rough communities is a lot of them, it's not all around, but a lot of them, they have this go-getter, this hungry mentality, that they have to make it in life then. And clearly, you were able to use that experience to propel you to start, your business venture. Was the one-on-one your first business venture? Because I know you said you used to work otherwise.
Yeah, look, you go to a JC, all boys school, you're dabbling in many things. The first thing I started to do was to make flags around boys and girls championships, where we make flags representing the different schools and so on. And I found a little dressmaker in the neighborhood, paid her some monies, a salary, got my orders from my friends and so on, and she would make those flags. We also did lunch delivery in school, where I would collect monies from my friends and order from the canteen so that the food is delivered to the classroom. So, you try these things, but, I always tell people that business is the science of solving problems. okay? It's not a matter that, oh, I want to start a business and this is what I'm going to do. That's not how it works. That's not how you run a successful business. You see, when you're solving a problem that exists and your solution is much easier than what currently obtains, then you have a business, right? And if people are willing to pay you for that, Tamar, then you're in good business. And kind of that's kind of where, we started. I personally did not see myself as a businessman. I was more a nerd. A lot of your viewers who probably know me would say, boy, Ricardo, him used to get this and that in school and so on. So I was more known as a math nerd, in school, but at the same time, using that math to solve problems too. You know what I mean?
And listen, the nerds are killing it. The nerds are ruling the world. The nerds are the billionaires.
Exactly. Well, I tell you something, right? I've never been ashamed of the brain that God has given to me. I thank Him every day. It allows me to think rationally. Now, Tamara, this is what I share with you is that from a very young age, even when I was living down in Trelawny with my mother and so on, I had siblings, and my mother always told me that I was a little different. I would come home, I go inside, I read my book, I always reading, trying to solve another problem. She also used to call me recognition because I would pull apart stuff and try to fix it because I was interested in how things work, right? And it's the same ideas that I've taken throughout my life. When I left JC, I got 2 scholarships to go to university to study actuarial sciences. Keep in mind that I left JC on top of the class after going through, and there were times at JC that I would get a 30% average for my entire term. I remember one time in second form, that's the 8th grade, they took me out of the class I was in and put me into a lesser class because they were saying I was struggling. But it wasn't struggling in terms of lacking in the ability, Tamara. It was all of these factors that we speak of, right? Having 5-6 hours of sleep after I'm done working and so on.
Tired.
Being self-governed at home. There's nobody there to tell me or show me what to do. So the point is, sometimes success comes out of that, Tamar, the ability to fail on your own because you know what you did to get to that stage, and so you know what not to do if you want other results. So the point is, leaving JC, going up, it's always been about solving problems and focusing on understanding everything I am doing. Never learn if I can't use it to do something well. So that's kind of what it's been like.
And so for our viewers who may not know, tell us about the work of your company, because I know it does a lot of work digitally and it's a company for the times that we're in, and you're helping a lot of Jamaicans and even other nationalities to bridge that digital divide. So tell us a little bit about what's happening.
One-on-one educational services, one-on-one for short. The Caribbean largest online learning company, Tamara. Very proud to have led this company since 2013 for 7 years. We started out in the classroom providing personalized learning for students in Jamaica. Started the company with 2 students as a personal tutor, and eventually growing the company to 1,000 students coming for classes. It got so big, Tamara, about 4 years ago, we decided to go fully online. So before COVID, before the pandemic, we went online. We've invested over $2 million US to build out our online infrastructure. And 4 years after that, I'm very proud to say, Tamara, we're serving over 200,000 students around the region. A number of companies and governments are also our clients. And we've been able to help teachers, students, just about everyone navigate these challenging times that is COVID. And we're very excited about the times, not so much the negatives, but the positives. in terms of our vision has always been to have a fully digital education, because that's how we get to guarantee quality, affordability for all. And so we've advocated to ensure that every child must have access to a device, must have access to internet connectivity, and must have access to standard-based learning, so that anything they want to learn, they can learn it. And that's what One-on-One provides. I'm very proud, Tamara.
So online learning for students, by students, I mean young and old and in between.
Absolutely. So, we started out providing classes for students in high school. That's how we started. That's the truth, right? We managed to maintain a 98% pass rate for a subject like math at the regional CXC exams. These are the high school exams you do at the end of high school. And this is in a context where students were getting 47% pass rate at math at a regional level. So, you come to One-on-One, what was our formula? The formula was personalized education, 1 teacher to 10 students. That's how we had it, maximum ratio 1 to 10. And what we did was essentially focused on skills for individuals. So the learning was almost geared towards the individual. We started with high school. We've expanded, Tamara, just this year to primary school as well. And then just this year as well, we have invested now in tertiary education. And how we're doing that is we're partnering with some of the region's leading universities. University of Bahamas, the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, UCC. Some of the top universities are now coming to us and saying, look, we want you to help us to digitize our courses and make them available for more people, so that we can tap into our workforce and get more people trained. So we expect to now take the babies from 5-year-old, Tamara, and bring them all the way up to lifelong learners, giving them skills that they need to be functional in a 21st century scenario. And using my story, where I am coming from, how education helped to save me in terms of from a boy who went to school barefooted at times, when I was back in Trelawny, to a young 25-year-old CEO running such a massive company with in excess of 60 employees. It's a pleasure for me, but it's also exciting, because now I can use that same formula that I used for me to be successful, to share with others in terms of how they can learn and acquire knowledge and impact the world.
And stick a pin as well. I don't want to go into the details of your business, but I know, for example, that recently you had formed a partnership with a major corporate company in Jamaica to also bring that digital education to Jamaicans, no matter their ages. And one of the things I want to quickly get from you, because our viewers like to get those practical tips, how crucial is it to have that digital education in these times? And some tips for those who are newbies, they don't know nothing about the digital landscape. What are some tips that you would say, hey, you need to know this, you need to know that, or you need to do this or to do that?
Absolutely. Now, in the past, we've heard about 4-year degrees, 2-year programs, and so on as the benchmark for knowledge acquisition after high school. That is no more, my friend. Google has announced that you don't have to have a college degree to be functional in the workplace. So has Apple. The point is, if these large companies are saying that you don't need any 4-year degree or so on to be functional, then what are we expected to have? Well, the focus is now on skills. Do you have the skill to do the specific job? And if the answer to that is yes, then you can get as big a job as that person with a degree or a master's degree or so on. And so, how do you acquire skill, right? Well, it starts as simple as you going online, obviously watching those YouTube videos and learning how to do stuff, right? But, while that is good, it doesn't give you a piece of paper at the end where you can say, well, I have completed this training and I am now skilled in this area. And so that's the gap that we solve. We create these courses. I mean, through our partnership with Flow, for example, they have invested over $60 million, where through another partner, we're going to be working to create these courses for people to have access to at no cost, because what we're saying is the economy will change. History has taught us, Tamara, that coming out of every crisis, there's a shift in how the economy functions. If you look back at your history, World War I, World War II, all of those revolutions, the Industrial Revolution coming from steam engines to mass production, to electricity, all of those things, to the microprocessor, came out of crises. And so what we're saying is, coming out of COVID-19, there's going to be a shift in the economy. No longer will you have 70% or so of our population focused on tourism, for example. You're going to have a more digital or digitally literate populace who can now get jobs online. And don't think of jobs as just digital jobs, as making a poster or anything like that. It could be as simple as sharing your voice with the world, meaning do a voice over in a Jamaican way, right? It could be easy as doing some acting or something like that. It could be easy as being a virtual secretary for someone overseas. But training people on how to do things, use the computer, write a document, those sort of things. But also to train on those more sophisticated things as well, project management and so on. Because what you're going to have is, while you're going to have people who were formerly in, let's say, hotel and hospitality, you're going to also have people in jobs now that they want to switch as well, because I've seen the banks laying off people. I've seen everybody laying off people. And what I'm saying is, those persons can upskill themselves, can reskill themselves online at their own convenience, anytime, anywhere. It's amazing.
Wow. Amazing indeed. I mean, as you mentioned, in terms of doing like a voiceover or something like that, they can use sites like Fiverr or Upwork, to get work opportunities no matter where in the world the customers or the clients are. So great job. All right, Ricardo, we are winding down, but I like to find out from somebody, because when I hear you talk, you are very motivated, very driven, still so young and doing amazing things. So who or what motivates you?
I tell you something, right? Number one, I'm motivated internally. I call it intrinsic motivation. So I have two types of motivators, if you like. Intrinsic and extrinsic, right? Talk about intrinsic, it's internal. It is that drive, that innate drive to when you have your back against the wall, Tamara, I want you to see me now, and your back is against the wall. If you go left and you go right, your back is still against the wall. If you go up, you go down, your back is still against the wall. The only way to get your back off that wall is to go forward. And that's always been my thought, right? That the only way is to go forward and come closer to you like that. That is how I look at life. If you knock on 100 doors, one must open. And so that's the way I look at life. It's always looking at it at the positive light. Not saying they're not going to be negatives, People are going to tell you no in a tomorrow. But we have to be assertive as business people. We have to ask for what we want, demand what we want in a very good way, in a very diplomatic way. And so that's number one. A lot of my past has motivated me to be kind of where I am now. But number two, I love family. I didn't grow up in a standard family where we had mother and father and so on. In fact, my father left us when I was about 6 or 7. And so everything that has happened, I've had to be a young dad, fathering my siblings, and now having 2 beautiful daughters and a wife, and so I'm motivated to be the best man for my girls. And I say my girls, my daughters, my wife, and also my mom, seeing the struggles that she has been a part of and so on. And, I did a profile interview about 5 years ago. And I said to Ian that, Ian, I want to retire by 35. Ian said, why are you so young? I said, well, I don't think I should spend a lot of my life working, because it will keep me too busy from impacting the world positively. I want to go out there to share my thoughts, share my ideas, help people, and just inspire people, right? It's the reason why to start this business, Tamara, I gave up the scholarship. I was awarded the Fulbright scholarship.
The Fulbright scholarship, how could I not touch on that?
Yeah, man, in 2013, I had the biggest opportunity of my lifetime to go and pursue financial engineering. It was my dream to do it. And when I got the opportunity, I said yes. But then when I saw an even bigger opportunity to create online learning, not even knowing that COVID would have happened, but just having that vision to say that we must transform education, we must digitize education, and investing that capital, speaking with the investors and so on, I could not give it up. It was the hardest decision of my life, to do it. As a youngster coming up, your dream is to attain a good scholarship, to go to a good school overseas, that sort of thing. And I gave it all up. It was nerve-wracking. I personally cried. I cried. You have to, if you're a human being. But I'm very happy that I did it. I've had a great time. It has been rock and roll. I lead a great team of great people. We serve some really good clients all across the Caribbean, in excess of 200,000 students. And we're very happy about the work we've done, and we hope to continue. And we have some big news coming up too, Tamara, talking about next year, right? We have some big news coming up, and we're launching out not only in the Caribbean to Latin America as well. We'll be talking some of that Spanish. So a local
amazing
going places. So we're just trying to solve some big problems little by little, because once we can solve those smaller problems, put them together, we would have solved the bigger problem.
Wow, I mean, Ricardo, what a story. And looking back now, you realize that even though you gave that up, but the sacrifice has been worth it and continues to be worth it, because you are making major moves. And no doubt, I believe you will achieve your goal of retiring by 35. All right, I'm gonna go, but my last thing from you is, quickly, what one book would you recommend for anyone who desires to be successful to read?
There are many of them, but there's one that I have right now. One of my mentors, in fact, and it's Danny Williams. I Try to Make a Difference.
Yes.
This is the one I'm reading right now. I have many books, but there's one that I like, Rich Dad Poor Dad, right?
Yes.
We're taught to almost, go and look jobs, write resumes and so on, but we've never been taught really how to write business plans and so on, right? And so when I met my mentor here, which is Danny Williams, founder of Life of Jamaica, Sagicor. One of the things Danny taught me first was how to write a business plan. He has never showed me a resume. I don't know what it looks like if it is him who is talking to me. He taught me how to do a few things. Walk up to people, talk to them, ask them for what I want, and he helps me to understand that the worst thing they can say is no, right? And if they say no, you just go to the next person. But this man is a salesman. I learned a lot from him. He has mentored me. He's been a father to me. And, this is a great man right here. But you know what? I tell you something, more fathers need to be like him, right? And that's what I'm trying to do now for my kids. Teaching them the practicality of life, not so much some highfalutin definition of life and so on. Don't get me wrong. You need employees, but you also need some very good leaders. And I'm quite happy that I'm in a position to lead.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Ricardo. You're not only leading your children and your family and your team at work, but I see you leading globally. So continue the amazing work that you are doing, impacting lives positively.
Thank you so much. And big up to your audience. I'm very happy about the work you're doing. Very proud. And I'm very happy to have been a guest.
Thank you, Ricardo. All the best and keep being a trailblazer.
All right, no problem. Later. Bye.